Ink up. Slow down. Write your rhythm with Script and Scribe.
Welcome to Script and Scribe. I'm Kat, and today we're looking at the pens I have inked for August. Starting with the workhorses, we have got this R615, the good blue in matte black, and I've got an Opus 88 1.5 stub nib on there. And then we have this Kaco Master with a gold-plated extra fine nib, and I'm pairing both of those with Platinum Cho Kuro. The deepest black ink from Platinum. It is pigmented, waterproof, and dries to a matte finish. So writing in my reading journal feels intentional, clean, and just no frills. Now you can see I'm doing the sample here, and unlike usual samples, all we're seeing is this matte finish, and that is the brilliant quality of the ink. And this is what it looks like with the 1.5 stub nib. The broad downstrokes are sensationally smooth, while the thin cross strokes remain crisp, offering beautiful line variation that is ideal for doing headings. So there's absolutely no hard starts in here. It's just all wonderfully smooth and bold, confident strokes. So you'll see that I was concerned when I was using it then in the extra fine afterwards. I thought, what if it skips? But my concerns were unfounded. And if you love matching your pens and inks, you've got the perfect matte black match. And now we're going from this anodized aluminium bodied pen with steel nib to a resin pen, an ivory color, with a gold-plated steel nib, the Kaco Master. And thanks to my inky fingers, I've put my fingerprints all over the barrel, but thankfully that just wipes off wonderfully. I think the gold-plated Kaco Master is a bit of an underrated pen. It writes effortlessly smooth, it's understated, it just looks really luxe. It's got a nice chunky build to it if you like chunky pens. And my only gripe is in the build, when you unscrew the cap, sometimes the body loosens from the nib section instead, so you've got them unscrewing at the same time. But that quirk aside, it's really a precise, comfortable, and enjoyable writer. And I think it's really well priced too. So yeah, I see this as an underrated and really well-performing pen. And here's a snippet of my reading journal where I use this combination. So this combination is going to be month on month for a while now. We've got the stub nib, the headings, and we've got the extra fine for the detailed work. Let me know in the comments if this is something you'd go for. Now we go on to a pen that is brand new to me, well, a week old, and I have been using it non-stop since because I really rate it. It's a Ystudio resin fountain pen in red with gold tone trim, a medium steel nib. It has no clip, so it's got a really sleek minimalist look, and I have inked it up with diamine writer's blood, a warm, rich burgundy. It is a very wet ink, and it does have some shading, not a huge amount. It also sheens, but not on all paper. It does on Hobonichi paper, so we'll see that when it dries. The only thing that was on my mind when I paired this ink and the pen is that the colors were likely to match, and they really do. But I was so pleasantly surprised about how smooth the writing experience is with this combination. My one criticism is that it doesn't post well. That cap just rattles about and you can see it just slides off. So yeah, not a deal breaker for me, as I find it balanced with it being unposted. But if you needed that extra length and have big hands, then perhaps that would be a deal breaker for you. It's got a really comfortable grip section, which is good because I wouldn't have wanted to grip higher. It's got a hexagonal shape, and I know some people find hexagonal and triangular shaped pens really tricky, but it's a pro for me because it stops it from sliding off flat surfaces. Pen number 4 is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Autumn Sky. The resin is a really nice burnt orange red with a gold-plated 14-karat gold zoom nib, and I filled it with a leftover mix. So I had browns, reds, oranges, and yellows, and it's come out to a certain red. I'm not convinced that it matches the barrel, but I thought, why waste the ink? Now, the zoom nib is supposed to offer remarkable line variation, but I'm new to it, and so I can't claim that I am showing you the best way that this nib actually works. To me, it just writes really bold, really wet, and especially with the combination of inks that I have created here, my mix is definitely wet ink. Sailor often has inspirations behind their collections of pens, and this is pen 2 in their inspiration from The Pillow Book, a famous collection of essays written by Se Shonagon. And she was a woman in service to the Empress Teishi in the 11th century, 10th, 11th century. And I think the other color or colors included purple. I can't remember another color, but I really liked this red orange barrel and thought I definitely have to get it. It matches so well with the gold plated pocket clip, and it's also got gold plated cap band and barrel trim. And of course, the nib itself is fabulous. This Pro Gear Slim has a 14 karat gold nib, and if you went for a regular Pro Gear, it would have a 21 karat gold nib. We're sticking with red pens and going with the Graf and Faber Castell Tamitio in India Red. It's got a really good secure cap. It has that lever back clip and it posts really securely. It's got this sort of magnetic ability to stay on the front and the back. So it posts and caps really well. Now, color-wise, I am going with, from the same brand, Graf and Faber Castell, India Red ink. So you know this is going to be my closest match because they are meant to match. This pen is actually also all metal, which isn't immediately apparent because it's got a ribbed lacquer finish on the barrel. So the barrel doesn't look it, but it is. And we're ready to do the sample. It does lay down really bright at first, but it does become more of a muted classic orange brick red as it dries. And I do like muted reds these days. I didn't used to like reds, but I lean towards more muted ones like this, the one above, and the one even further above, the burgundy, the writer's blood. That said, I do have a bright red coming up for you later. Now, what struck me with this is that it's a fantastic combination, of course, color-wise, and it works really well in a medium nib. I find the ink itself actually one of the drier ones of the ones that we're trying out today. And that really surprised me, but it's not a problem. It just works really well in here. It's just that I think that I've just somehow been buying inks that have tended to be more wet or medium, but this one definitely is one of my more restrained flow type of inks. And I've not tried it myself, but I have heard that these types of inks tend to resist feathering and bleed through even on cheaper paper, which sounds good. And this Tamitio has hands down the best, smoothest steel nib that I own. It is just so buttery smooth. This is my Pilot Custom 742 in black resin with gold trim, and it's got a 14 karat gold soft fine nib. And this is the first soft fine that I've owned, so we'll talk about that when I do the writing. But we're inking up with Pilot Irishizuku take-sumi, a soft charcoal black that shades beautifully. Actually, this doesn't just shade, it does some amazing sheening on Hobonichi paper too. So we'll see that when the sample dries. A little of this ink goes a long way, so I've decided to actually save up the little bit that I've got in there because I don't need all of that on the paper to do the sample. And this is what I mean when I mix my own inks. This used to be Wizard's Pencil from Alchemy, and I've just added in that one drop of black, and that's what that one's going to be. That little bottle is going to have my grays and my blacks. So we'll see what that's going to be like when I use it up. But here we have the pure, and I'm never going to mix, I'm never going to sort of like cross-contaminate my big bottles. Don't worry if you're concerned. But you can see that this is a really lovely dark, but when you spread it around, you can start to see the shading in there. Obviously, you won't see the sheening until it's dry. Now, I used to find black and gold or black and silver pens a little boring, but this year I'm really into them and I just love the classic look of this and the detailing of these Japanese pens with the whole pilot made in Japan. I just love it. Pilot nibs are often really good for detailed line work, and this soft fine means that it gives us a line that's very similar to a fine, but we've got some spring in there. So it's almost got enough line variation to make it a flex, but it's not. So I better not say that. It is 100% not a flex nib, but it gives you some bounce. So you sort of notice the most subtle cushioning effect and also the most subtle change in line width. But it is really minimal. So I'm so loath to actually say it, but you feel it. You feel it a lot. And I'm surprised by how much I feel it. There is just such a softness that smooths out the whole writing experience. I already like the fine or extra fine actually that I've got on my custom 74. It is extremely firm and it's got no line variation whatsoever. But I feel the difference between the soft fine and the not soft. The Pilot pen that I have with the most flexible nib is the Pilot Ilabo, and Ilabo is a name that they give to the Japanese market for what they call internationally or for the export market, the Pilot Falcon, and that has got real bounce and line variation. And I'll pop this down and pick up a pen that weirdly looks on camera very much like it, but is so totally different. So the next pen is not black at all, it is Laurel Green. This Platinum 3776 Century has dark green transparent resin with gold trim and is fitted with a 14-karat gold medium nib. We have the thoughtful detailing on the cap band that I like so much, and I have filled this with a dark green ink from Alchemy called Mystic Forest, a rich green that shows depth and variation. The combination works surprisingly well because I just, again, went with the idea that the colors are going to look good together, and they really do. But the flow is so good. So this medium nib combined with this Mystic Forest means that the nib glides really with consistent ink flow, and it's just a pleasure to write with for long sessions. So this was a really successful matchup. I'll definitely get more of this because I only had this little sample bottle, so I'm going to have to look after that. I really do think, well, yeah, I've just wasted a drop. But anyway, I am going to look after the rest of that bottle until I buy a big bottle of Mystic Forest. And I'll just add the name of this ink underneath the sample before we go on to the next pen, which is different from the rest. It is vintage. And sticking with the same brand, Platinum, this is a long, short pocket pen, circa 1960s, 70s, and you can only use the ink cartridges. So I emptied out, cleaned out a cartridge, and decided to fill the cartridge with this Pilot Irishizuku Soyoku, which is a playful greenish color and is going to be really legible but also vibrant. That said, I don't think I got all of the water out of the nib when I cleaned out the pen, so potentially the writing is going to be a bit lighter than the sample, but we'll see. It's a gorgeous color. And I sort of changed my mind on how to describe the color each time. Is it an aqua green? I'm not sure. You can let me know what you think in the comments, but it is definitely a beautiful color. And it's really straightforward to fill up the cartridge, as you can see. So I just use this pipette, or whatever you want to call it, to transfer the ink from the bottle into the cartridge. And I'm not going to fill it all up. Purely because I'm not sure how much I'm going to need another green or greeny blue color. I mostly just wanted to use this pen because it's fairly new to me, and I got it for an absolute bargain because this cap doesn't sit there 100%. It caps fine, but it just doesn't post well, and you can see that I was trying to sort of match the greeny blue butterflies with the ink. Everything else about this pen is perfect. The 14-karat gold nib writes like a dream. And I spent £30, whereas they usually retail for between £80 to £100. And I reckon that this sample is showing us the most shading than any of the other inks that I've had today. It's really gorgeous. So I popped some invisible Scotch magic tape onto the back so that allows the cap to stay posted okay without it rattling about. And as I start writing the name of the sample here, we can tell that the nib is really nice and smooth, but the lettering is a lot lighter than the ink sample. And that is down to me because I predicted that I probably didn't get all the water out of the feed and nib. So yeah, it would definitely be a lot more saturated. But I can't fault the performance. This platinum nib together with this ink, they're perfect together. And I think even when I don't have the water in there diluting the ink, it would be a good match. It really flows well. And yeah, I just like the experience. It's also one of the more playful pens that I have in my collection. And I'm more and more drawn to these types of vintage pens, the long short form, but also the ones that have got this decorative style to them, this hint of playfulness. And so it's no surprise that my next pen is also a vintage one with a decorative design on it, and we're going back to Pilot with this gorgeous long short pocket pen with this vibrant dianthus pattern on the cap and the top. And I love the detail on here. The barrel's actually a little lighter, more like a reddish pink. And that's the 14-karat gold nib. And as I unscrew the top here, we'll see the cartridge, and you can only use cartridges, no converters in here. This is standard red from Pilot. And I had squeezed this a bit earlier, so that's why I was tapping it to make sure I don't get too much red ink on my fingers. I had tried to squeeze a little bit of ink out of the nib, but that was a no-go. So it's a lot safer getting the sample this way. And this is a very vibrant red, so far less of the red that I usually go for, but it makes a nice change, sort of breaks up my leaning towards darker, more muted colors. And this is just a standard Pilot fine, and I feel that the line is a lot crisper than the Pilot Custom 742, which had the soft fine and that slight bounce to the writing. So this is really crisp lettering and yeah, just everything that people love about standard Pilot fine nibs. And I'm not sure if it's because I've been pairing Pilot with Pilot inks or other Pilot pens with Pilot inks, but the performance of all of the pairings works really so well. Our next pen is vintage and it is Pilot, but it is not one of the ones with the decorative flowers or drawings on it. It is the 1980s Pilot Lady, which is a white and silver combination with gold trim. And I'm going with Yamabudo to fill it up because I felt like, you know, Pilot and Pilot, like I mentioned, is a really good combination. This is actually my first time doing a Yamabudo sample because I've seen loads of people talk about it and I filled one pen with it, but I didn't see the variation that you would with the sample. So I'm curious to see how this is going to dry. So this is the first pen that I have ever ordered from Japan, and I live in the UK, so if you go over £135, you can get hit with really heavy customs for importing pens, and this was far below that price. So I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose because I know it's not going to be anywhere near that, even with the shipping costs and whatever. You know, if a hidden cost is there, it won't come over that price. So I went for it, and I'm so glad that I did, because this is just, you know, got the perfect aesthetic. I do feel that vintage vibe. I do feel like it's got a 1980s vibe, and I'm not sure why. It just is slender and, you know, I I don't know. Even the green one and the pink one that I saw for sale, they all had the vibe, but this was the one that really stood out for me. Yeah, I can't verbalize it, but it just spoke to me, and I'm glad that I got it. And I have been writing with this one a lot, a lot. So it's under a month old, and I am just in love with it. It's an extra fine 18 karat gold nib, and I find the performance just brilliant. We've got a white resin section, and then the top and the cap are the silver tone metal, and we've got gold tone trim. So I just love the aesthetic. Like I keep saying, I didn't need to stop repeating myself. But I find that this, again, is very much like the one above, has got the sort of standard EF or F, but this one is EF performance that you expect from Pilot. It has got very crisp lines. This is for detail, and I think if you've got a small journal, this is a good nib for you. Let me know your favorite pen and ink combination from the lot here or from your own. For me, from this, it is the Yamabudo and the 1980s vintage Lady Pilot pen. And let's revisit the ink swatches, see how they've dried. This stays matte black, beautiful, looks just really, just solidly, yeah, black and dark and lovely. So no sheening. Then we go on to Writer's Blood, and there is a little bit of sheening, but I have to get the angle right for you to actually see it. There's a slight copperish tint. Can I get in there at the edges? Unfocused. Try and get in there again. Let's see. Can you see it? Yes. Yeah. So there's a little bit of coppery on the edge. It's definitely not the best sample I've done of this. I usually have more copper in there. And we go on to the one that I did, and there is a little bit of like gold in between there, but not much. And who knows which ink that contributed to that. Then we have the India Red from Graf on paper Castell, which again has a little bit of like sparkly red in it, but again only on Hobonichi. I haven't seen it on any other. This has got an amazing effect. So I think Pilot inks on Hobonichi paper do amazing sheening, because this black is now showing like a variety of gray and navy, and then you've got like coppery sheening in it. So take-sumi looks amazing on Hobonichi paper. There's just so much depth to it, so much going on, and yet you don't see that in the writing. And again, the sample, the Endless Alchemy, it has a lot of variation. I think I've got the lighting right so that you can now see it. Oh, it's gone again. But yeah, it does have sheening in it. It's just, again, you have to get the angle right to show it. Then the Pilot, Suikyoku, I hope I've said that right. You get a lot of shading. I wouldn't say necessarily sheening. And there's writing sample slightly lighter, but we know whose fault that is. This hasn't 100% dried. It is the Pilot Red, and it does have a little bit of gold starting to develop on it, which surprised me. So yeah, standard red from Pilot. Then we have the Irishuzuku Yamabudo, and it is developing the sheening, but I have to be patient. I'll probably come back and show you the sample when it's totally dry. Ta-da! The full effect. We got the sheening. It's all nice and dry and looks lovely. Thanks so much for joining me, and take care.